welcome back to the Awakening Philosophy Podcast. My name is Jed. What a journey we have been on reading this book that perhaps may be the greatest book ever written. It's certainly up there, perhaps in the top 5. It's amazing. Now, what have we seen in our journey? We have seen that we can fundamentally understand the nature of the human condition in 2 ideas that can be represented many different ways. Those ideas, of course, belief and understanding. Those that venerate belief. What's that behind me? Got a pillow behind me. Hold up. So, move the pillow from behind my head. Our purpose is to learn to develop understanding, which requires a movement away from our loyalty to belief. And we have learned that we can personify that with characters, a kind of mythology, because we've learned that mythology and theology is simply a metaphorical personification of principles and forces that govern our reality and allow for our soul's development through those hierarchical stages of reality to our goal. Yes, we have a goal, sometimes called the destiny of man, our purpose to know the self. A knowing of the self that is only reachable through, you guessed it, understanding. So the development of understanding. Now what's ironic is it's understanding that allows you to understand the root causes of your personal beliefs. Beliefs function in a harmful way because they block understanding. They block our participation in reason, evidence, intelligence, mind, self, and our purpose. That's how beliefs function. Why are we so attached to belief then? Because they served an evolutionary purpose prior to our ability to think for ourselves. That is, to reflect, which is a word in the Greek we call ousia, and use language. So prior to our ability for self-reflection and language, ousia and logos, the humans that survived were those that were blindly loyal to whatever the cave leader said and was vehemently afraid of anything different to the family, to the family clan way of being. Those people didn't get eaten by saber-toothed tigers. However, due to the fast evolution of our species, due to the asteroid that killed the big dinosaurs, we have evolved into our use of logos and ousia without addressing the false cognitive function that served that prior evolutionary benefit. So, our loyalty to belief is a holdover or a solution to a problem that no longer applies. Now, as above, so below, this also plays out within our individual lives. To survive your upbringing with the parental figure that you were completely dependent on before you mastered your use of language as a little child, a parent who got to play king priest of the house, whatever they said about reality as a priest, you just had to accept their stupid beliefs, and whatever they said about how to run your life, you had to accept to survive. So therefore, we sacrifice the truth, our understanding, our self-development for loyalty, for a role within a family, tribe, and clan. That's the origin of our own personal beliefs or pathologos beliefs about ourselves that we don't even know we have, but are the root cause of our human problems. There you go. So, whether you're talking about history, whether you're talking about individuals, or whether you're talking about the different groups that form around specific pathologos beliefs, venerating them. It's not my pathologos belief. It's God that wants me to kill people I don't like. It's not my belief. It's the founding fathers that want us to kill the people we don't like. The root cause of our societal problems is the veneration of those pathologos beliefs into conservatism, to conserve the old beliefs that we think we benefit from, religion, to be bound by a saving belief in opposition to truth and understanding. And of course, we can throw in that list capitalism, because again, their family beliefs are solidified with their wealth and privilege. Elon Musk is born into a family who thinks they're special and gets to do slavery, and therefore he goes to Joe Rogan to go on the podcast.
I don't want to eat a monkey.
And explain he deserves $1 trillion while everyone else has to suffer and die without being able to participate in life, because his family is special and his beliefs are special. Now that case is becoming harder and harder to make now that people have realized that these people are idiots, that they are fascistic, that they are ignorant, that they are cruel and sadistic, and they spend their time and money doing cruel, sadistic things on Epstein Island. So it's hard to accept that they are better than us, or geniuses, or that they are job creators as they slash jobs to save profit using AI, or that wealth will trickle down as we get progressively poorer while these sick individuals get richer. So the only thing that they're really leaning on now to save their justification for having all of the things and getting to participate in life while the rest of us don't is they're chosen by God. So that's where it's boiling down. That's what it's boiling down to. Netanyahu and Trump, as they do the most horrific, unjust things, destroying our society and trying to bring the world to Armageddon, claiming they can't claim that they're doing it for justice. They can't claim that they're doing it for truth. They can't claim that they're helping people. They can't claim that they're even bringing down the price of eggs. So all they can claim is it's God. Yesterday, Trump posted an AI picture of him as Jesus. Netanyahu, of course, claims to be the speaker for the Jews, and if you challenge Netanyahu, you're anti-Semitic. The billionaires are now leaning on that as well. God wanted us to do AI, says Peter Thiel. I am new Jesus. That kind of crap. That's the only thing they have left. Now, we can recognize this I am my specific family clan beliefs and way of being that I carry and live through are chosen by God. That's the nature of the pathologos. We saw that this was represented in a mythology of Achilles. He thought his family was chosen and blessed by gods, so he didn't have to change his own way of being. As a way of illustrating the nature of human problems, the pathologos. So we see the only thing left to justify their power over others and their extreme injustice of capitalists within the financial system, conservatives within the political system, and religion within the spiritual world is God picked me because I think that God did so.
Disgusting. I'm so disgusted.
So we're discovering that the nature of human problems is a loyalty to our prior beliefs that we carry because we haven't gone through self-reflection, systematic self-reflection through a skill. That skill, of course, is the dialectic. So we have to learn a skill and we have to employ it. That's the development of understanding. That's why we read. So there's the first of the three parts of the dialectic in your reading to discover the truth about self and reality. That's what allows us to come to these conclusions that we are reviewing right now. But of course, the theme for today's episode, truth isn't enough, because the nature of human problems is an aversion to truth, causing us to react in negative ways to truth, to ignore, mock, threaten, exile, and kill truth and those speaking truth. Because of that, again, caveman-like primitive and savage loyalty to our own family ignorance or family beliefs. So reading and mastering the dialectic about the truth ain't enough. You have to apply that dialectic to remove what's false. That's philosophical midwifery. And of course, as we've been saying, those are the only two questions you can really ask someone. Where are you at? What's your highest vision? And what's your level of understanding of that? How are you going? And where are you stuck? What problems are you facing that have been repeating that you've recognized get in the way of that excellence? And the third aspect of the dialectic, and the third question is, how are your dreams? Because as we're seeing, dreams give us information about both of those two things, our development of understanding and our removal of beliefs, our perfection of the true, our purification of what's false. And you can say, well, technically, because there are 4 aspects of the dialectic, we might as well have 4 categories of the dialectic in its use. How are your artistic creations going? What are you creating, sharing with the world, contributing to humanity that illustrates that journey that you have been going through in learning to master the dialectic to understand the truth about self and reality, to learning to use the dialectic to remove your false beliefs about self and reality that cause your blocks and problems, in learning to understand to understand and listen to your dreams that give you guidance in how to do those two things. How are you going in sharing that with others? So those are the 4 questions you can really ask people. Or gossip, which is again a distraction or a block itself. Now, so this book has allowed us to understand, therefore, that our purpose, the mastery of the dialectic that allows us to remove what's false and understand and experience or encounter what's true, to know the self, to have the peak experience of mind, and to function ideally through understanding. There's the triad of self. What exists, its power, and its activity. Everything has those 3 things. So the movement from belief into understanding can be personified by characters. Jesus personifying belief in this book, talking to Socrates, who personifies understanding. You could use cultures. The Judaic culture, all about belief. The Hellenic culture, all about understanding. History, periods of history. The period of history where Socrates had his teachers, Parmenides, Diotima, Xenophanes, and where the Hellenic people understood that even the worst person has the power through the logos and dialectic to remove the source of their problems through dream analysis and midwifery. The golden age of humanity. Or the Dark Ages, when in 529 AD, Emperor Justinian founded the Christian tradition and murdered the philosophers and shut down the academy and tried to replace understanding with faith or belief. So there are many ways that you can personify the fundamental 2 forces. Now, the technical name for belief that blocks our development, pathologos, and the technical name for understanding, logos, or dianoia. So we have to develop an openness and curiosity in our state of mind, as well as a love of understanding. For us to be able to have the power, motivation, impetus to take on that our purpose. Now, what Socrates has been explaining to us is this isn't just our purpose in this lifetime. For there to be a just universe, as we talked about last time, there has to be a learning process. There has to be some sort of repercussion or consequence or effect based on how we live, whether or not we choose to stay loyal to our false beliefs and keep perpetuating the cycle of injustice, of sadism being taking belief as an object of knowing, so you desire it, but because belief can only do harm, you can't believe your way into fixing your computer, you can't believe your way into flying a plane, you need understanding for that. But belief can allow you to crash a plane or destroy an engine. So this, and we see this with conservatives, capitalists, and the religious, their desire to take the amount of harm they can inflict as a mark of strength or manliness. That's sadism. So that's the taking belief taking this ability to do harm as a surrogate for knowing. That's the reason why people ask the question, why don't the billionaires solve world hunger? Why is cruelty the point for capitalist conservatives and clergy? This is the reason. Because that's all they can do. Because they are savagely, stupidly loyal to belief. So we want to overcome that human problem, which is a kind of a catch-22. If we all develop false beliefs from childhood as part of our learning process, and as we're mentioning, in a just world, there has to be a consequence for our life of having lived a life of injustice, refusing to do this kind of a thing, reincarnating into a world where you suffer the implications. But it's not a just world unless there's an opportunity to remove that suffering and perfect yourself into excellence. Therefore, learning. There has to be learning. There has to be reincarnation necessarily for justice to be a part of the fabric of reality. That's something we can understand necessarily, but again, we have to confirm for ourselves an experience. So we can wonder about what that experience can be. So the movement from belief into understanding, the catch-22 of human problems is that our problems are beliefs, which are by definition an opposition to understanding, but it's understanding we need to remove beliefs. So that's the catch-22. The ways that we are working around that is do it anyway to develop courage. Try and find friends who have a good heart and good head, where you can share this journey with them.
I'm looking for someone to share in an adventure.
Why was that so quiet? Hear this.
There's only two options.
I'm looking for someone to share in an adventure.
Goodness, that was quiet.
I'm looking for someone to share in an adventure.
There we go. Find someone with a good heart and good head who has a love of understanding and an open, curious disposition where you can share your insights, where you're at, share your reflection on problems where you're stuck, reflect on your dreams together, and hey, share your creations. Those 4 things. The dialectic of human activity. Your dreams is another way around that catch-22, because while you might have blind spots, your dream master doesn't. So learning to understand your dreams through the dialectic. Now there's a catch-22 because you have to do the dream analysis. What you think your dreams mean is different from what the dreams actually mean. So again, having other people who are also practicing to become a dialectician, so they can midwife you through your dream talks. Is another way around. Yeah. Have others' dreams and do it anyway. Seems to be what we're dealing with in how we get around that catch-22. Being, you don't want to do understanding. You think you already know the self. So why would I seek the self? You already know what happiness is. So why would you seek the peak state of mind? You already know how to think. So why would you learn how to think through the dialectic and mastering understanding? You already know those three things. So that's that. So you believe you know the self, mind, and functioning, when really it's a false image of yourself, negative, limited states of mind that cause limited functioning through interpretation. Another catch-22 is part of belief is to oppose those things. To be a loyal Jew, you have to call anyone who challenges your stupid-ass beliefs as anti-Semitic. To be a loyal Mormon, you have to say to anybody who doesn't do magic underpants and soaking,
Be a reasonable gooner.
you have to say they are unreasonable gooner. To be a loyal Christian, you have to kill Muslims or whatever the fuck your tribe leader, pastor, preacher, minister tells you to do. So not only do we show loyalty to our clan belief by showing what a good believer we are by attacking those who ask questions, but also we learn a fear. We fear our own freedom of self. You need the police because if you were free, then you'd go around killing each other. That kind of thing. You need to beg for forgiveness and do reconciliation because you're innately bad. We fear our freedom of self. We fear higher states of mind and the functioning of our own intellect. And we fear learning and developing new understanding. So, we already think we know. We show loyalty to our tribe by being stupid, by being opposed to what actually we want, to be opposed to understanding, thinking, independent thought, to show you're a loyal member of the family tribe, or religious tribe, or MAGA tribe, or billionaire class tribe. Who are you to challenge capitalism? So, we think we already know. We demonstrate loyalty by an opposition to our own benefit and goodness and truth. And also we have a fear. We have a fear of mind. We have a fear of our learning. We have a fear of changing our mind. So that's the catch-22. So while we can therefore understand that there is one purpose for humanity, that is to master the art of the dialectic that allows us to do two things. Remove our problems, the cause of problems being belief, and develop our excellence, which is achieved through the mastery of understanding. So belief and understanding is the second part. We can recognize the catch-22 has three aspects. We already think we know. We want to be stupid to show we're a loyal member, and we are afraid of what we actually seek. But we have to do it anyway. If we don't, we stay stuck in our problems, repeating cycles of failure, problems, negative states of mind. We play out the terrible implications of an unjustly lived life in our death. It has an effect on our reincarnation in a negative way. So in other words, the unexamined life ain't worth living because you spend your whole life meditating on, contemplating, justifying, further entrenching yourself in your false image of self that you've been specifically born to address. That's the issue. That's debate. You come into a debate thinking you already know everything, and you think the whole purpose of human interaction is to win the debate by proving that the beliefs you walked in with were right all along. So you walk away more entrenched with the beliefs that you walked in with. Debate dweeb.
Debate weirdo.
Debate weirdo.
Debate dweeb.
That's the opposite of dialectic. That's our life. That's the tragedy of the human condition. But we have an opportunity of turning it around. That's why we read these books we read here. Not every book, but books that are intelligible, complete. You don't have to therefore project your own interpretation upon them. and they reflect the self logos, giving us what we need to do to learn to master our understanding. So, all of this is from the book. That's just a quick review of everything we've seen. At the end of the book, we see this in effect. We see, after having learned all of this, Socrates then encourages Jesus to go beyond his current level of soul development and wonder about the self, demonstrating that very pathologos belief counterattack. Jesus gets triggered. Jesus fights back. Jesus rejects everything he's seen in his understanding, the good stuff that we're here to do, and goes back to his stupid, ignorant family childhood beliefs. But I believe in Jesus wouldn't say, but I believe in Jesus. Jesus is Lord, Jesus is King, because he is Jesus. I believe in Abraham. I believe in Moses. I believe in I'm the next Elijah. All that shit. I believe there's a God. The God that chooses us. My family clan is the one that God prefers and wants to be in charge. This is a God that's at war with Satan. Therefore, there's also a spiritual force called Satan. They are opposite. They can't connect. Well, they're disconnected, but they're at war with each other. That war reflects the war within your soul. And the human species is constantly at war because we are in a battleground between the forces of heaven and the forces of hell. That will only we will only finally come to rest or reach our conclusion when we destroy our whole planet and the Jesus, well, not for Jesus, God comes back and destroys the demons, and then the good guys win. He gets into that shit. This is the principle. Truth ain't enough. It's not just a matter of learning the truth. Truth doesn't stick for human beings. We've evolved through millions of years to become loyal to ignorance, to what's false, to what's harmful. People want to defend their beliefs. No, I accept that stuff about religion, but not my beliefs. Well, I accept prejudice, sexist beliefs, but not my beliefs about women. I accept all parents pretend to know shit, so they pretend to be a king and priest of the family, but not my parents. They were actually really, really smart, actually. My mother was a saint. My dad can beat up your dad. Well, okay, maybe family beliefs and religious beliefs and definitely political beliefs are mired in ignorance, but it's not all beliefs, right? So these are the levels of interpretation we go through. When we learn something new, we try and hold on to our beliefs. We might reject that new understanding. No. You can't understand human problems, and definitely not with one word. Definitely not belief. Surely all of the evils on the world can't be understood with just one word, belief. Mocking it. That makes you crazy. So going from ignoring to mocking. Yeah, right. You think you're Jesus. Ha 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 ha. Threatening? Well, don't you challenge my beliefs, because I'm a loyal Jew, I'm a loyal Protestant, I'm a loyal Catholic. I'll fight you on the playground. Or bomb you with drones. Exiling? If you don't like America, you can get out. You can get out. And then killing. So those are our responses, negative responses as we go through the interpretations of rejecting anything new, offering our own beliefs instead. You can't solve rejecting it. Understand the human condition with simply two words, belief and understanding. Garbage. Get out of here. Offering your own. Well, yeah, I do think you can understand problems, but it's because not enough people are Mormons. They wear regular underpants. And if we all come together in our love for our white American Jesus, then that's the number 4. Ignoring. Offering your own alternative beliefs. 3, taking a piece. Yes, I do think we need reason and evidence. I think that's a good thing. But we should use reason and evidence to support my own beliefs. The 3rd, taking a piece of the new. The 2nd, okay, all right. I've seen enough to recognize that human problems are caused by belief, specifically pathologos, and are solved through understanding, of course. You solve everything through understanding. That just makes sense. But can we keep some beliefs? I think, but aren't we all on the same path? We're just picking different roads. So surely whether you're Christian or Mormon or Muslim or Hindu or Buddhist or Taoist, yeah, we're all on the same path, really. That's the 2nd level of interpretation. Trying to save everything, trying to keep the new and the old, trying to bring them all together with some magical fantasy. And then the 1st, sacrificing the old and embracing the new. That's where we're heading. That's what we're after. We are seeing this being demonstrated. So we've developed a map. This is our personality test. In our development through the physical realm of appearances into the realm of mind or being, and passing through that to know the self, which is our purpose. Or if you want to use theology, the hero's journey to enter the realm of the gods and to move through it to know the ultimate principle or axiom or cause. That ultimate principle, axiom of cause, the one self or the true self or the good self, is the first principle that gives rise to its shadow, which becomes the paradigm for reality. That's the model that then generates the copy in our physical universe of time. As we go through the physical world, recognizing we have image thinking that motivates us, the shapes and colors that opposes our own goodness, that keeps us trapped in our repeating cycles of problem. That's the 5th hypothesis, the activity we're engaged in the physical world. We can learn to recognize that there's a source or cause of our image thinking. Those are our beliefs that we mentioned we are the cause of our problems. That's the physical world model that our activity plays out. So you can solve all human problems without having to address the specific activities by looking at what's the underlying model that causes all of the activities. So we're not solving human problems by, saving one lake from being polluted by capitalism, but addressing capitalism itself. So we have no polluted lakes, that principle. The cognitive function where we have as our model that we get from the physical world that causes our image thinking and problems, our savage zombie-like NPC states that keep us trapped in fate, that's called belief. That's the 4th stage of our development. So our 4th hypothesis or 4th stage, belief, along with its activity in our image thinking, we call ignorance. That's the cause of human problems. 4 and 5. Our purpose, therefore, is to move into the realm of mind. Its activity, that's understanding or dianoia. That's the art we're here to master. That activity is perfected by looking, reverting, or self-reflection, ousia, upon its model. That's the object of knowing. That's the peak experience. That's the second last or penultimate enlightenment experience. That experience of the whole of mind knowing itself as the whole, which is the model or paradigm for reality, that's the 2nd stage. So while the model and activity of belief and image thinking of our physical world, 4 and 5, is ignorance, so too the model and activity of mind, knowing and understanding is the definition of wisdom. So that's how we perfect and use the art of the dialectic to prepare our minds to experience that second stage. It's understanding that can reflect on our images and beliefs to purify our problems. But there's one more use of understanding, to apply understanding to its model to realize that there is something beyond even the peak experience. That's something that you can only recognize through understanding. You can't posit a greater experience, but you can understand every experience has to have its cause. So that's how we use the third hypothesis to go through the second to the first. That is a summary of the soul's movement and the human journey. That's in like one long big ass paragraph, well, not that big, one paragraph explaining the nature of the human condition or the hero's journey, or which gives us the 5 stages of the soul's development. But as we recognize, the catch-22, the reason why truth ain't enough, is we get stuck in the 4th hypothesis. We think we need the beliefs that we grew up with, and that we then venerate our family beliefs into religion or politics or a business, capitalism, capitalists, kings and clergy, conservatives, clergy and CEOs, the CCC. So, a loyalty to belief that opposes our development has to manifest as a opposition to any one of those stages that has to exist that we move through. Therefore, we can recognize as these 5 stages depicts the soul's journey through the self-logos to the self, to know the self-logos itself, the intelligibility of self itself beyond experience as the first axiom or cause or the first principle. So too, we could recognize the opposition of that as our pathologos self. Therefore, you can take those 5 steps of the human journey and represent them as one-piece characters. So you can ask the question in your personality test, what one-piece character are you? Are you... God, who was the lowest one? Have you reached the self and become king of the pirates? Are you a Luffy? Are you second in command? Have you had an experience, or have you reached the acknowledgement that there is a realm of mind? And are you therefore Zoro? Are you in the realm of mastering understanding like Shanks? Are you stuck in belief like Blackbeard? And number 5, who did we have for 5? Smoker. Are you following the smoky shapes and colors of our image thinking? What's the nature of your pathologos block, by the way? Are you like Joey? So what Friends character are you? Are you in opposition to the idea that there can even be anything in the world, even shapes and colors, even physical things? Nihilist Joey. Poor old lonely Joey, all sad and lonely, thinking everything is all delusion. Are you a materialist like Ross? Everything is dinosaur bones and chemistry and physical parts. So you're okay with the 5th hypothesis, you're okay with there being physical things, but there's no meaningful whole. There is no way of understanding human problems as a whole. There is no way of understanding human excellence as a whole. There is no beauty as a whole. Everything can be reduced to chemistry or chemicals or reductionism. Is your pathologos the kind like Monica? Like when she's a chef, she's a Nazi in the kitchen. The Nazis, that is. Not Nazis. This is an opposition to Shanks, an opposition to understanding. there are principles in the realm, in the world, but I'm opposed to the logos. The principles are not a hierarchical system through which the self communicates providence, allowing us to do a learning process to overcome our problems and reach excellence. No. The forces are good guys and bad guys. They're equal, they're opposites. There's no providence, there's not even any connection. It's just a perpetual, meaningless, stupid fucking war. And all you can do is hope you're on the good team and try and kill as much of the bad team. That's punishment, that's genocide, and that's bringing the upcoming Armageddon that those people are racing towards. Our world is the most common and the most dangerous. Pathologos is the seventh hypothesis, or Monica as a friend's character. Or are you Phoebe? Or was it Rachel? Let's say Phoebe. Phoebe is okay with there being physical parts, physical wholes, to be reason or an activity of mind, but she doesn't think that there is an eternal cosmic principle that we can know. So let's say Rachel, because Phoebe might be open to that, maybe, because she's supposed to be a hippie. Do you love understanding, but you are not accepting that there is a true principle of reality, beauty, justice? So our idea of justice is something we have to invent. Socialism, Marxism, that kind of thing. The symbol of Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse has some reasoning, but he's made up. There are some things he can say and do, some things he wouldn't say and do, but again, it's not real. And of course, the 10th hypothesis, all of these are expressions of the pathologo self. So our purpose is to become the One Piece king of the pirates like Luffy, but also to purify, make sure we have no Friends characters because that show is cancelled, but also to understand the principle. So maybe Phoebe can represent the 10th hypothesis. Gunther, the coffee guy, represents the pathologos. So our journey, therefore, can be represented in these 5 stages, as well as having to understand which of our own specific... Oh, by the way, we can move in and out of them to recognize or understand each one of these. Socrates in the text said, hey, if you completely understand them, you'll see how they're not true, but necessitate the very position it opposes. So if you fully understand the 9th hypothesis, nihilism, you'll see how it presupposes the necessity for there being some existence of physical things. So to understand these 4 positions and understand the nature of the pathologo self is necessary to be able to climb. That's why truth isn't enough. That's the theme for today. Jesus has learned about the nature of human problems, ignorance, 4 and 5. He has been reflecting on his peak experience too, with the help of Socrates' guidance, 3. But as Socrates is encouraging him to wonder about the first, Jesus' 7th hypothesis, pathologos, counterattack, is causing him to reject and abandon everything he's seen. Giving us, therefore, these 5 stages of interpretation we went through. Rejecting it, 5, that's Slytherin, to completely reject. So using the houses of Harry Potter as an analogy. To offer your own alternative to beliefs instead of it. Ravenclaw, take a piece of the new truth, the new understanding, and just using it as a patch on your old beliefs. That would be Hufflepuff. Number 2, to try and unify the good and the bad together, the old and the new, the beliefs and understanding together. That's Gryffindor. And number 1 is to eat the Philosopher's Stone and become the wizard of majesty. First interpretation, which is to remove your ignorance or the false beliefs and accept wisdom or understanding. the way in which you do go through that interpretation process, are you ignoring truths that challenge your own pathologos, like Snorlax? Use Pokemon. Are you mocking? Do you make fun of truths that challenge your own family way of being? That's different. Ha 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 ha. Mr. Mime, do you threaten? Right on. Brrr. Don't you challenge me. Exile, do you try and kick them out like Abra? Your Pokemon has been returned to your hand. Or do you kill like the evilest of all Pokemon? Who is the evil Pokemon? Who do we say for killing? Blastoise? Is there an evil Pokemon? I forgot. Mew? Mewtwo. Charizard. Charizard's a good one, because what we're seeing is our journey is to move up through all of them. We want to go from our image thinking to the one self of the self logos. We want to move through our all of the possible kinds of pathologos to understand the pathologos itself. And by understanding that position, you free yourself from it and you show the necessity of the opposite. So by understanding the 10th hypothesis, the pathologos self-image that we have as a cause of our problems, you show that number one, it's not true, and the self must exist. So you can show the necessity for the existence of the self and the self-logos, the inherent understandability, intelligibility of the self, by understanding the nature of human problems. We want to go through the kinds of interpretations to the first, which is non-interpretation. We want to go through these ways of negatively addressing people to kill, but not to kill the truth, but to kill or sacrifice what's false. And we've seen, just as we can personify the nature of human problems as belief to understanding, Jesus to Socrates, the Jews to the Hellenics, the region, the Judeans to the Athenians. We could also understand the difference as what is sacrificed. In religion, you sacrifice your mind, understanding, and self for loyalty to belief, whereas to be a rational philosopher is to sacrifice our false beliefs for the true. So we want to move to being not bad Charizard, who doesn't listen to Ash Ketchum and throws fireballs in his face, but the powerful ultimate Charizard, sacrificing or killing what's false. So we are seeing that demonstrated at the end of the text, because in the end of the text, we have recognized that Jesus's personal pathologos is the most common one of our current age. Good versus bad, good guys versus bad guys. My team versus your team. Conservatives versus Democrats, that kind of shit. Personified in the highest as a warring God against Satan. We've shown that those two things can't exist in principle. The way that that problems are resolved is through conflict leading to Armageddon. We've showed that that's not possible in principle. And we've also done a big dialectic to show that none of those are necessary. As we have just outlined, we can understand the nature of human excellence not as God, or as God symbolizing the good self and the functioning of the dialectic. We can understand human problems not as evil, but as pathologos beliefs, and as its cause not Satan, but our unsuspected images, fifth hypothesis, of our parental figures we have yet to examine through midwifery and dream analysis. We understand how we solve problems not through retribution or punishment or violence or genocide or Armageddon, but through creating the conditions for the ideal states of mind where we remember our insights, awaken to a higher level of intelligence, and purify ourselves through our problems. That's philosophical midwifery. And dream analysis, which is again the dialectic. Therefore, the meaning of life isn't to create the conditions for the extinction of our species through Armageddon, so Jesus comes back and solves problems. It's to create the conditions for mastery of the art of the dialectic. So, this idea of God, in the Abrahamic God, impossible and not necessary. It's the self and the self logos as our highest excellence, which is the self. So you don't have to believe anyone, it's you. You don't have to believe that you are a self. The idea of evil as the cause of problems, not possible, but also not necessary, it's the pathologos. And Satan, not possible, but also unnecessary because it's our images. The conflict, punishment, sin, retribution, it can exist, but it's irrational and unintelligible. It's an example of evil. Oh, not evil, badness. So those who believe in evil and then seek to punish are doing that very thing they would consider evil. But unnecessary because it's midwifery and dream analysis, and our purpose to create Armageddon, not possible because there cannot be a war between God and Satan, because they cannot coexist or clash without becoming like each other. And by definition, the eternal state of being in a state of goodness of God cannot become evil. Likewise, evil cannot become good. What we also learned is if we do thoroughly vanquish or overcome our problems, our pathologos beliefs, that is a kind of healing that will last, which is an interesting gift from the author. Your problems are solvable in principle, and if they're solved for good, both in this lifetime and beyond. If evil is vanquished or overcome, it is thoroughly defeated or annihilated, and only good remains. That good, this means that the pathologos can remove completely by the art of the dialectic, both in this life and in reincarnations. Can you remove your problems so that only the good or the good self, so that's the highest state of being, the recognition of yourself as the highest, the ultimate, the good self or the one self, and your functioning with the dialectic or goodness is all that remains. So, where we are in the text, let's jump in. Is all of that has been demonstrated, and let's have a look at this very principle, the principle that it's logos and pathologos, it's truth and humanness. Truth ain't enough. Let's see this in effect. So God and Satan cannot clash at the end of those dialectics we've gone through in the last few days, because they're totally different states. Again, it's all about states of mind, people, with different natures, and so no battle could occur between them. So with a stroke of reasoning, you would banish the thought of the coming Armageddon. We've saved humanity. Let's see how he responds. He says,
Jesus Christ, Emma.
He says, Jesus Christ, Emma. And
It's a
Emma
total
says,
shit show.
That's a total shit show. It's likely that what you think is true. It has the mark of the rational, but I don't agree. The very existence of evil that we have just disproven the possibility of triumphs over reason. For we know the existence of and the power of Satan in the form of Sophia or her son Yalbadullah or Eve, So these are all the fantasies that these people told each other in different traditions, or going further back to Marduk, since they are all personifications of pervasive evil. So if lots of people in the past were ignorant, then it must be true. Is his reasoning? It's stupid reasoning. You can get 100 idiots in a room to agree to something stupid. Doesn't make it true. So you say there should be no battle between good and evil, even though there is and will be. Reason, truth, necessary rationality ain't enough to convince someone to change their mind. Because he spent his formative years around this bullshit, stuck in a family. That's the nature of all human problems. It's not just truth. This book has given us everything to come to all of the understanding we've just reviewed today. The entire map. The map of the One Piece characters, friends, characters, Hogwarts houses, and Pokemon. Being able to represent the nature of the human conflict and its catch-22 with just two ideas, belief and understanding. To understand the meaning of life with just one art, dialectic. The book therefore gives us to, and also through the book we've talked about other things like how specifically the Pathologos comes to be in the origin scene. So this book has given us the truth, but this is showing truth isn't enough. That of course is the Hogwarts stuff, how you interpret truth. So Socrates goes, tries a different text. Okay, give me an example of evil. If the reasoning about it in principle didn't work, give me an example. Definition to demonstration. Now, the worst kind of thing, what's the worst kind of thing for the Jews doing a genocide right now? To criticize a Jew. That's anti-Semitic. The Christian MAGA chuds, towheads. What was the worst thing? What caused them to turn against Trump? It wasn't the rape and murder of children for fun on Epstein Island. It wasn't the murder of innocent children in the double tap on the children's school in Iran recently. It wasn't the decades the years and years of perpetual lying and scamming. It wasn't the complete gutting of the entire economy and social system. It wasn't the selling out to foreign entities. It wasn't saying he loves dictators and fascists. What caused people to turn against Trump? As a walking personification of all that is unjust and bad, it was his AI depiction of himself as Jesus. Blasphemy. Speaking against a chosen person or the chosen people within their bullshit, savage, primitive, NPC, zombie, clan tribe. Jesus too. The most unspeakable evils is the willful slaying of one of God's chosen people. We can genocide as many Palestinians as we want, but Hamas did a bad thing against one of us. So that's the most unspeakable evil. We can murder people, Americans say, or MAGA Americans, we can murder millions of people overseas, kidnap their leaders, take out their democratically elected leaders, install fascists. But if someone says something bad but if they say death to America, that's the worst thing. So this is a demonstration of that savage, baby-brained bullshit. Jesus' idea of evil is slaying one of God's chosen, the beheading of John the Baptist. Socrates, what's your demonstration of the worst human injustice? Achilles. Because he thinks he's favored by the gods, like religious people do, like Pathologos does, like the fascists and conservatives claim to, the Netanyahus and the Trumps of the world, like the billionaires to justify their extreme wealth inequality and hoarding of wealth and resources. The nature of human problems, the Pathologos, favored by the gods. He was one of the Achaean tribes, and he would count them as the most dreadful of men, and his fury was the direct cause of the loss of many brave warriors and the needless loss of his friend Patroclus. Our false beliefs that we do not examine through midwifery and dream analysis has an effect. It has effect on good people in the world, so we do injustice, and our own loved ones. Therefore, it's worth having a look at and addressing because it's fun. It's the most fun and meaningful activity. And you become the best kind of person. And your friends become the best kind of people if they stay in this game. It's a win-win-win.
Win.
That's what I said.
It's a win-win.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh my fuck.
That's right. But if you don't do it, the consequences are disastrous. And Jesus says, yeah, look, see? Because of this evil nature of human, within the soul of man, we lose our loved ones. So we know that evil is bad and plays out its destructive hand. Actually, says Jesus, Achilles realized he'd been playing out something he had known but didn't know he knew. In other words, you are carrying something false, and a part of you knows it and it's wrong. That's our feeling of injustice. That's the root cause of human anger that we project on other people. We suffered an injustice by believing this shit, by suffering this unjust scene in our early childhood, and that's what we are supposed to address. That's why we're angry, but instead of doing it through midwifery and dream analysis, we project it on others, and we use that as a clip chimping or a justification to punishing other people. That's the projection. What are the Jews saying? Well, we are being victimized as they do a fucking genocide. What do the Nazis say? We are being targeted and being called Nazis while they set up concentration camps, and they're currently sending people to concentration camps right now. Projecting the very thing that you do and getting angry about it in that person, but because the anger is your false idea of justice, your just way of responding to that projection is that very thing that you're angry about. It would be funny if it wasn't so tragic. So, we know it, we don't know we know it. Achilles was one of the good ones, became a good person because he realized this. He realized he was blindly following a model of his surrogate mother, Lord Phoenix, and that this most fundamental ignorance in the soul had borne his misery, the pathologos. After realizing this, he rejoined the Battle of Troy in a staggeringly mindful state. He sacrificed the limited, unjust, bad state of mind and functioning, became free and open for a staggeringly mindful state, and became our greatest hero. So the worst became the best. That's the possibility for all of us. For us Hellenes, Achilles, by using the mind to free the mind of its folly, became the model of reversing one's errors and faults. It's not a blame game. It's not a shame game. We're looking for our errors and faults because sin isn't your evil. It means you've missed the mark. Get rid of the idea of sin. It's fascist shit. We're looking for where we missed the mark because we can use our mind to free ourselves from using the mind to free the mind from our folly. Jesus says, well, that's an astonishing story. It leaves me seeing directly the truth of your tale. So even Jesus, as he's blocked from his problems, can still recognize truth. That's the duality. We're blocked and we're loyal to our ignorance, but we can sometimes still see and recognize truth when we hear it. That's why it's triggering for people. Astonishing story leaves me seeing directly the truth of your tale. Then without the wisdom of the goddess, Athena, he was able to free himself. He didn't have to sacrifice himself to Jebus or the gods or Athena. He didn't have to wait for divine, how the Christians think of providence, magicking his problems away. He didn't have to wait for Armageddon. Problems are solvable. This was demonstrated by Achilles, the worst becoming the best. Now, we can go one step further. We have developed, we Hellenes, the true race of man, really. Again, it's not a color or shape, it's a state of mind, utilizing what's good of our mind, ousia and logos, the dialectic, and having the courage and integrity to sacrifice what's bad about human states of mind. Ignorance, belief, and this pathologos idea that our special beliefs are special, we are so special because God says so. This baby brain, savage, primitive ignorance, that's the cause of human misery, torture, destruction, both in this life and the negative consequences beyond. So we Hellenes, the true way of being of the true race of man, and hopefully the new way of being for our species now, we developed into an art. Art, a skill used to benefit. Into the way of the philosopher as a midwife to free man of his folly and guide his way through the study of dreams. So there we have Socrates saying, we knew it back then. You guys can figure it out now. That's what we're doing. To go from the worst to the best, to use our mind to free ourselves from our problems, to be guided through our dreams, to go through that process of going from interpretation to seeing and accepting the truth, removing our unjust reactions to truth, and sacrificing what's false and harmful within our state of mind to embrace the way of being of the logos. So, going through our map here. Through the study of dreams, of course. Jesus said, well, that's just one guy. A drop of rain doesn't make a storm. True enough, but his ideal, says Socrates, shaped the soul and spirit of the Hellenes into a mindful people that has put all others to shame. That's it. This book doesn't pussy out at the end. When we have demonstrated you can solve problems, you can reach excellence, and here is a whole culture who knew that and recognize that even the worst can become the best, then any culture who does punishment, who does genocide, who does war, who does wealth inequality, who does capitalism, who does us versus them politics, who does competition, they should feel ashamed. That's savage, that's barbaric, and it's unnecessary. We have the model. Wake up. Wake up, says Socrates without pussying out. There is an ideal. You can learn it in this book. You can see it in Achilles. It has worked with people. Again, before the believers took over and created the Dark Ages by killing all the philosophers. And also the believers of the city of Athens killing Socrates for challenging their ignorance. But it's possible. It's a standard. It's truth. Now, the implication, if we are not listening to this, if we are not doing our best to use our mind to solve, to free the mind from our problems, so we can reverse all our errors and follies, well, don't feel ashamed or feel blame for having made mistakes. The only shame is if you recognize this and you fail to pick it up. That's the only thing we can feel embarrassed about. Saying no to the call to truth, the call to adventure.
I'm looking for someone to share in an adventure.
If we ignore our dreams from now on, that puts us to shame. Says Socrates. Don't get mad at me. I'm just saying it.
You actually are too stupid to interact with the rest of the
Jesus. Jesus.
You're a little bitch ass baby.
Hey, not me. I'm just reading. I'm helping you to read. Jesus' response to that? Well, hang on a second. Seventh hypothesis stuff. Seventh hypothesis isn't just God versus the devil. It's all... There is no hierarchical standard of truth and understanding. It's just all a matter of opinion, bro. I mean, there are opinions, unlike materialists and nihilists, but there's no hierarchical arrangement that we can judge the objective standard of truth. It's just everything is equal. We're all on our own path. Just let everyone be. Everyone's on their own path. Who cares? Same bullshit that we hear today, right? Jesus saying this. We share a path to heaven, but while we differ on the road we follow on earth. Everyone's on their different path on earth. It's all going to work itself out. Don't do any work. Don't overcome your injustice. Don't develop a relationship with your dreams. Don't do any of the things that you're supposed to do. Stay as the evil person, Achilles, at the beginning of the story. Do bad things forever. And let our species go to extinction. Because it's all going to work itself out. Because magic, maybe, I imagine, because I think so.
Unbelievable sluts these days.
Unbelievable people who think this these days.
Like literally suck my dick, dude.
Oh my goodness.
Jesus is gonna come down, wipe this place out. Who cares?
That's right. They'll think, oh, who cares? Jesus will come down and wipe this place out.
You've been a bad little girl and you're getting a vigorous spanking right now?
Oh my God, Emma.
Gooner bait.
That's just Gooner bait. So again, while Socrates hasn't pussied out with this idea of a single objective truth about our way of being, Hellenic, necessary to solve our problems, let's see if he pussies out here and accepts, yeah, we're all on different paths and there's no difference really, and it's all just bullshit. It's all just whatever you want, and we're all on different roads, but we end in the same place. Let's see how he responds to this empty catchphrase or thought-terminating cliche, empty catchphrase repeated by believers of this state of being. It's Jesus. We share a path to heaven while we differ on the road to follow on earth. Socrates. The destiny of man lies in the single path of the Hellenes. For all need the path we Hellenes have walked. To know and to know thyself is to be Hellenic. Hellenic isn't who your parents were. It isn't what color you are. It isn't what gender or race you are. It is what we all seek to know the self. That's how we overcome our injustice and our problems in our relationships, in our soul, for our soul's development and reincarnation and journey, and for our species itself. That's for everyone. It is a single path. It is called being Hellenic. To know thyself is the single path that we all have to walk. That's to know the self. Doesn't pussy out. Doesn't do a second class of interpretation. Oh yes, what you said is true, but also the other stuff. Can't we all keep both? Second class of interpretation. Bullshit. Says Socrates. Jesus. Well, hang on a second. You're saying this is the one true way, but you Hellenics don't think our Abrahamic God to be a God. Yes, we don't. Not because we don't believe it, because we've understood it, and because it's impossible. That's the difference. Anyone can participate in understanding. You don't have to be in the chosen tribe of Achilles, or of Abraham, or of the Jews, or of the Mormons with their magic gooning underpants.
Some goons and some gooners and some weirdos.
The truth is just truth. Which is fantastic, because everyone can play. It's not imaginary. I mean, imagination, visualization and imagination plays a part in it, and philosophical speculation, but it's not make-em-ups. It's not just bullshit. It's not some Oprah Winfrey self-help episode bullshit. Dr. Phil crap. Jordan Peterson nonsense. This is why it's so fun. It's real, it's good, it helps you, and you can test it out and verify it for everyone. For everyone at any time, in any place, in any dimension, in any incarnation. The kind of learning we are here to do, therefore. We don't think your God to be a God because it's stupid and impossible, and we've reasoned through that. Says so, well, he doesn't say stupid. We don't think your Abrahamic God to be a God. Impossible. Nor do your people realize that in the soul of man there is the healing power of the Logos that overcomes the Pathologos, which is the sick image of the self. That sentence is a banger. So everything we've done in our review today, everything we've read in the book leads to this quote. In the soul of man, first of all, those who have not gone through midwifery and dream analysis do not realize this. That's the first part. Human problems in the first part. The second part is the human truth, or the truth. Believers don't realize that. In the soul of man, there is a healing power of the Logos that overcomes our Pathologos. So there's our two aspects, the Logos and the Pathologos. The human drama, belief and understanding, Jesus, Socrates, the Jews, the Hellenes, the children of Judea and the Athenians, however you want to represent it. Within the soul of man, there is a healing power of the Logos that overcomes the Pathologos. And by the way, just as the Logos leads to the self, the Pathologos is a sick image of the self. The root cause of human problems, therefore, the sick image of the self. Venerated in our Pathologos. Our purpose as human beings is to realize that we have a healing power of the Logos that can overcome that. There we go. Banger of a sentence. Put it on your bumper sticker. Put it on a throw pillow. So, while that's true, there is that first part of the sentence. While the second part of the sentence is the culmination of everything we've seen in this book. Soul of man, there's a power of the Logos that is a healing power because it overcomes the Pathologos, which is defined as the sick image of the self. The first part is what we're looking at here, because that's just the second part is just the truth. The first part is the humanness. We need to address the humanness. Truth ain't enough. Jesus responds, "You have uncovered a difference that we will need to reflect upon further." Sounds like another book has to be written. And I shall wonder in our future talks, sounds like this future book will be a dialogue as well. Will benefit both those here and elsewhere. A book that will benefit not only the characters in the book that you write, but those who read it as well. I am sure that I will find out when we meet again in book 2. We will discuss further the nature of the divine, the way of benevolent providence, and the nature of the self. 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3. The self of the first hypothesis, the nature of the divine of mind, second hypothesis, and the benevolent providence of the third. Provided in this next dialogue, because we have been talking about those, Jesus has either been blocked from it or he's been dismissing it. That's a demonstration of your problems, of all human problems. Therefore, going back a few sentences, so long as we have a sequel to this book where Jesus is guided through the study of his dreams, and Socrates plays the role of the way of the philosopher as a midwife, Jesus in your sequel may be able to then free himself from his folly that prevented his ability to participate in the dialectic about the nature of the divine, the self, and providence, or the dialectic itself. The very three things we are supposed to get into. That's the point of this book. All of this stuff about interpretation, whether it's the interpreters of Jesus or the interpreters of Socrates that followed him. All of this truth stuff that we got in the book comes to its conclusion at the end where it's rejected. That's the human condition. We reject truth. Truth ain't enough. We need dream analysis. We need it with midwifery. Otherwise, we're blocked from the truth. And we've just seen a demonstration of that. But this book has given us everything we need to understand the truth and understand our own blocks and objections to the truth. We have recognized that there is only one path to know the self, and that is to be Hellenic. So there's one path through the self-logos that we've been learning, the dialectic. We can give a name to that way of being, it's being Hellenic. But we can also recognize if we refuse the call to the hero's journey, not by Gandalf.
I'm looking for someone to share.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Not by Hagrid, not by Obi-Wan Kenobi, but by a literal master, a literal mystic. Many other mystics many other people who carry a staff, but the only true mystics are the philosophers, says Socrates. A true mystic, Socrates, is calling you to write this book. That's your hero's journey. That's your quest to become a Jedi. Socrates say, if you do not pick it up and refuse to be Hellenic, you should feel ashamed. This ideal, you will go through the hero's journey in writing it, of Achilles. It will shape you into a mindful person. Any other way of being is put to shame. And that's what we're seeing in this book. It's not just truth, it's humanness. Truth ain't enough. You need the dialectic to truth, the dialectic on what's false, midwifery, what gives you the information for both, the dialectic on your dreams, and finally the fourth aspect, reflect that in your own sharing of that through the sequel of this book, Socrates and Jesus, a dream talk in heaven. And he's given you some things. After that, you might be able to discuss the first, second, and third hypothesis that Jesus is blocked from currently. So not only has this book demonstrated the nature of human excellence, the nature of human problems, the difficulty that we go through from moving from one to the other, demonstrated how we can use logos and understanding to remove the most common and harmful beliefs that plague our society, that is bringing us to Armageddon, allowing us to remove that Abrahamic God, remove that idea of evil, and sweep and remove with reason alone the upcoming Armageddon. Not only can we save our species, this book also gives you an exercise to do, because it demonstrates that even though while all of this is true, there is the human issue. We don't accept truth so long as we carry that sick idea of ourself. That's called the Pathologos. Mastery of the dialectic is addressing what's true in the logos and what's false in the Pathologos. And your guide for how to do that, and your model for what it's like to be a master of that, is your Dream Master. This book is a fucking banger. I started the episode by saying perhaps it's one of the top 5 books written of all time. Maybe we can go further and say it's the top one. Now, your sequel, Socrates and Jesus, a Dream Talk in Heaven, may enter that top 10 with him, benefiting those here in heaven and elsewhere. sense, Jesus. So that's the theme for today, bringing everything we've read together. Truth ain't enough. Removing what's false through dream analysis and midwifery is necessary also. Allowing you to perfect completely the art of the dialectic and become like the self or the dream maker. And if you overcome that, it can be vanquished completely, freeing you from the chains of your problems and suffering in this life and the prison of a negative reincarnation. Now, next time we're going to have a look at what's the chorus going to say. They've been interpreting and hating on everything all the way through. Let's see what their response to this is, to this invitation for you to write a sequel to this book, allowing you to put together everything in this book to master it, to create that sequel, but also extend, which he earlier in the book, he defined that as the way of philosophy. Got it on the board, remember? The new class of man, the new philosophers, the Hellenics, as we just called us, are those who let's find it on the board. The non-interpreters, the top level of interpreters who are non-interpreters. So we have the other interpreters that we have on this list, both the 5, the 4, and its oppositions, but this is the ultimate. The new philosophers, they are non-interpreters and they are exponents of a living tradition. You can live your life in conformity with your philosophy. Always do dialectic. Become exemplars of your philosophy. Continue the Platonic tradition and add significant elements to it. He is giving you an opportunity to enter this new state of being by adding to this book, by writing the sequel. Participate in living dialogues that explore truth and reality. What we've been doing, you can practice that, and you'll be writing about it. Explore dreams and contemplation. That should be in the book. Write new dialogues, there you go. Develop a method and practice of midwifery, which you'll be doing in that book. So all of these things, he's giving you an opportunity to be this new class of philosophers, which is our ideal and goal, by simply finishing the story. This book is a banger, so I hope that you don't put yourself to shame. You take that opportunity. You're excited about it. You feel fun and joy and whimsy.
Where's the joy? Where's the whimsy? Where's the childlike wonder, dude?
And you feel childlike wonder.
Honestly, on the real, I say stuff like that because I'm cool.
And we say that because we're cool and our head is full of secrets.
My head is quite large and filled with secrets.
It makes us cool as a cuke.
Cool as a cuke.
I hope you're excited. I hope you had fun reviewing the entire book, as well as the amazing way it concludes. Not only concludes in the book by understanding the truth of our human condition, the nature of problems and excellence. The ending of the book, Jesus' counterattack as a demonstration of that human journey. And finally, the last part of the book, your invitation to finish the story, giving you an opportunity to enter into that class, that way of being, that golden age, the new class of philosophers, the Hellenics, by ticking all of those boxes that he outlined earlier in the text. Fucking banger. Isn't it a banger? Isn't this fun? I hope you're having fun. I'm having fun. And let's see what the haters say next time. I will see you then in the next one. Oh, and we still have the oxidizing pictures to explore. That's exciting too.